Welcome to The Deep Read, the podcast where we dive beneath the surface of the stories that move us. We are going to explore the books, ideas, and stories that spark curiosity and connection. Whether you're a seasoned bookworm or just love a good conversation, you're in the right place. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's turn the page together. And now, let's move to our lovely hosts, Emily and Mike.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we'll be doing a deep dive into Karla Cornejo Villavicencio's debut novel, Catalina.
Oh, this one's been getting a lot of buzz.
It has. And especially, I think, given Cornejo Villavicencio's background, with nonfiction work, particularly her acclaimed The Undocumented Americans.
Yeah, to see her tackle fiction is, it's really compelling.
Absolutely. And, for those who maybe aren't familiar with Catalina yet, it's a coming-of-age story that really centers on the experiences of an undocumented immigrant in the United States.
And it's done with such nuance and depth. I think the protagonist, Catalina Iturralde, she's a senior at Harvard, and she's grappling with just so many complex issues, identity, love, and that ever-present fear of deportation.
Oh, yes, right.
And she's just this incredibly bright, witty character who's trying to navigate a world that often feels stacked against her.
Yeah, there's this scene early on that I think really grabbed my attention where Catalina's talking with Jim Young, who's a literary editor at her internship, and he questions her self-education just based on her pronunciation.
Oh, wow.
It's such a small moment.
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes, I think, about these subtle ways that Catalina is constantly being judged and underestimated.
It really makes you think about how often we make assumptions about people, based on just like their accent or their background without truly getting to know them.
Right. And that theme, I think, of perception versus reality plays out throughout the novel, particularly in Catalina's relationships. She kind of navigates these two very different romantic connections.
Yeah.
One with Camilo, who is a fellow intern at the magazine they're at, who shares this love for music and literature.
Right.
And another with Nathaniel Wheeler, whose father is this famous filmmaker.
And it's so fascinating how Cornejo Villavicencio, I think, uses these relationships to explore the power dynamics that are at play.
Absolutely.
Like with Camilo, there's this sense of equality, the shared passion for discovering things together.
Yeah, like their mutual fascination with Lou Reed's music.
Yeah.
And the story of his girlfriend Rachel, who's buried on Hart Island.
Yes, the Potter's Fields.
Right.
Really sad.
Yeah, but with Nathaniel, there's this underlying tension stemming from, I think, their very different socioeconomic backgrounds.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about wealth.
Right.
It's those subtle ways that privilege manifests. And there's that scene where Nathaniel's father corrects the waiter Julio for his pronunciation.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it immediately just echoes back to that earlier encounter with Jim Young.
Exactly.
Just underscores this constant feeling of being othered, of never quite belonging.
Right. And it highlights that insidious nature of microaggressions.
Yes.
These seemingly small moments, these subtle put-downs, they really build up over time and create this feeling of being constantly on edge, never fully accepted.
And alongside these personal struggles, there's that ever-present fear of deportation that hangs over Catalina and her family.
Right.
And the Dream Act is mentioned throughout the novel. And it kind of represents this glimmer of hope, but also the uncertainty that so many young, undocumented immigrants face.
Yeah, it's that constant, will it happen, won't it happen?
Right. And there's that really poignant scene where Catalina attends a vigil with her friend Delphine and later discovers her grandfather's deportation notice from ICE.
Oh, it's just gut-wrenching.
It is.
And it really drives home the precarious reality of their situation, the constant fear of being separated from loved ones, the lack of stability and security. It's just something that permeates every aspect of their lives.
And amidst all of this, Catalina finds this source of solace in her work-study job at the Peabody Museum.
The Peabody.
And she becomes fascinated by the quipu, which is this ancient Inca recording device made of knotted strings. And it's this beautiful metaphor, I think, for hidden stories, for knowledge that's yet to be fully understood.
The quipu itself is incredibly intriguing. Researchers like Dr. Deborah Murphy, a character in the novel, are working tirelessly to decipher its secrets. And it represents this connection to the past, to a rich cultural heritage that's often overlooked or marginalized.
Yeah, and there's this sense of mystery, too, of lost knowledge just waiting to be rediscovered.
Absolutely.
And I think that sense of mystery resonates with Catalina's own journey of self-discovery. She's trying to piece together her own identity and her place in the world amidst all the complexities of her undocumented status, her family's history, her own aspirations.
It makes you wonder, what will Catalina do to uncover her own story, and how will she navigate the complexities of family love and belonging?
These are questions that really linger.
They do.
And this is really just the beginning of Catalina's journey.
Yeah, we haven't even touched upon her collaboration with Byron Wheeler, Nathaniel's father, on a documentary about her experience or her really complex relationship with her grandparents, which is truly the heart of the story.
So much to unpack, and we're just getting started. So what are your initial thoughts on Catalina? What's resonating with you so far?
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So you mentioned Catalina's grandparents, and their role in her life is, so central to the story.
Yeah.
They sacrificed everything to bring her to America. But their relationship is far from simple. There's love, of course, but also tensions stemming from her grandfather's strictness, her grandmother's anxieties, and the weight of their shared undocumented experience.
And it's just incredibly poignant. There's this one detail that really stuck with me. Catalina's uncle passes away in Ecuador, and she's unable to attend his funeral because of her immigration status.
Oh, wow.
And it just, it highlights that heartbreaking reality of separation, the inability to fully grieve or connect with loved ones back home.
It speaks to the sacrifices that immigrant families make and that constant undercurrent of worry that shapes their lives, and the sense of displacement of not fully belonging in either country. It's something that Catalina grapples with throughout the novel.
And you brought up Catalina's decision to work with Byron Wheeler on a documentary.
Yes.
And it initially seems like this positive opportunity, to share her story and to shed light on the challenges faced by undocumented immigrants.
Right.
But as the project unfolds, she begins to question the ethics of representation. Who gets to control the narrative,
right,
and whether her story is being told authentically.
Yeah, and there's this really thought-provoking aspect of the novel during a dinner at the Wheelers' apartment. There's this striking juxtaposition where Mrs. Wheeler makes a joke comparing the luxurious Mandarin Oriental Hotel to McLean Psychiatric Hospital.
Oh, yeah?
It's a moment of dark humor, but it underscores that vast gulf between their world and Catalina's.
Right.
It speaks to the privilege of a certain class, their ability to navigate difficult situations in ways that are simply not available to everyone.
Yeah, that scene was so powerful. For me, it just highlights the limitations of the Wheelers' understanding, like their inability to fully grasp the depth of Catalina's experience, despite their good intentions.
And it leads to this pivotal turning point in the novel.
Yes, during filming at her dorm, Catalina breaks down.
Right.
And it's not Byron or Nathaniel who step in to help her, but Martha, the dining hall worker. And that scene was so unexpected, but it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because Martha, who represents a different kind of strength and resilience, this working class perspective that's often overlooked or undervalued.
Absolutely.
She's the one who provides comfort and understanding in that moment.
It beautifully demonstrates the power of shared experience, of recognizing someone else's pain and offering support without judgment or expectation.
Right. And this encounter leads Catalina to make a huge decision.
Yes.
She steps back from the documentary project.
Wow.
She reclaims her own narrative and decides how and when she wants to share her story.
That's powerful.
And then in a stunning twist, Catalina discovers that her grandfather has stolen a quipu from the museum.
It's a moment that leaves you breathless.
I am.
The seemingly quiet, unassuming man takes this bold, almost defiant action.
Yeah.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about him.
And it ties back to the quipu symbolism, right?
Right.
The hidden knowledge, the reclaiming of something lost or taken away.
Precisely, it becomes this powerful metaphor for Catalina's own journey of self-discovery and her family's struggle for agency in a world that often seeks to silence or erase them.
And Cornejo Villavicencio's writing is just truly captivating.
Oh, it is.
She seamlessly blends wit and vulnerability and this deep knowledge of history and literature to create a voice that's both unique and universal.
Right.
Like Catalina's observations, her way of seeing the world, are so insightful and often hilarious. It's a book that makes you laugh, think, and feel deeply.
I completely agree. The novel is full of these beautifully crafted moments, like Catalina's reflections on the music of Lou Reed, her fascination with the stories behind the people buried on Hart Island, and her poignant conversations with her grandparents about their past and their hopes for the future.
And I love how she weaves in these literary and historical references.
Yes.
It's almost as if she's creating this tapestry of stories, connecting her own experiences to larger narratives of resilient resistance and the search for belonging.
It adds this layer of depth and richness to the novel.
Yeah.
It invites the reader to engage with these different perspectives, to consider the ways our own stories are shaped by the past. and to recognize the power of art and storytelling to connect us across cultures and generations.
So I'm curious, what has been your favorite moment or quote from Catalina so far?
There's so much to choose from, but for me, it's the scene where Catalina describes feeling like a ghost in a borrowed dress.
Oh,
It perfectly captures that sense of invisibility, of being present but not fully seen or acknowledged.
that's a powerful image. And it speaks to those larger themes of the
Yeah,
novel, right?
right.
Identity, belonging, and that search for a place to call home.
Absolutely. Catalina is a story that will stay with you long after you finish reading it. It makes you think, it makes you feel, and it challenges you to see the world in new ways.
It definitely left me with a lot of questions.
Me too.
Does Catalina ever find out why her grandfather stole the quipu? What becomes of her after graduation? Does she ever return to Ecuador?
Cornejo Villavicencio intentionally leaves these questions unanswered, inviting us to imagine what might come next for Catalina and her family. It's a reminder that their story, like all of our stories, is still being written.
And that sense of possibility, that hopefulness amidst the struggle, is what makes Catalina such a powerful and ultimately uplifting read.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, our ability to find joy and connection even in the face of adversity.
So as we move towards our final thoughts, what are some key takeaways that you'd like to highlight for our listeners? It's been incredible unpacking Catalina with you, and I think what strikes me most is how Cornejo Villavicencio manages to weave together these deeply personal stories with larger social and political issues.
Right, it's not just a coming-of-age tale, it's
Yeah.
a commentary on the immigrant experience, the complexities of identity, and the power of storytelling.
Hmm.
What's remarkable is how she does this without ever feeling preachy or didactic. It's woven into the fabric of the narrative, these subtle observations and insightful reflections that make you just pause and think.
Like that line that Catalina says, being undocumented is not for the weak of heart.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a simple statement, but it carries so much weight.
Yeah.
It speaks to the resilience and strength required to navigate a system that's often stacked against you.
And it's not just the system, right? It's the constant fear, the uncertainty, those microaggressions that just chip away at your sense of self. It's exhausting, and I think Cornejo Villavicencio captures that emotional toll beautifully.
We've talked about the stolen quipu, and I keep coming back to that image.
Yeah.
It's such a potent symbol of reclaiming something lost, of asserting agency in a world that often tries to silence you.
It's a powerful act of defiance, and it resonates with Catalina's own journey of finding her voice. She starts out feeling like she's constantly being defined by others, whether it's her undocumented status, her accent, or her family background, but through her experiences, her relationships, and her exploration of her heritage, she begins to define herself on her own terms.
And that's what makes Catalina such a hopeful and ultimately empowering story,
Right.
Despite all the challenges that she faces, she emerges stronger, more determined to shape her own narrative and fight for a future where she can fully belong.
It's a testament to the power of the human spirit to persevere, to find joy and connection even in the face of adversity. And it leaves us with this sense of possibility, this belief that change is possible, that we can create a more just and welcoming world for everyone.
I think that's the ultimate takeaway from Catalina.
Mm-hmm.
It's a call to action, an invitation to examine our own biases, to listen to the stories of those who are different from us, and to work towards a society where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued.
It's a message that resonates deeply, especially in our current climate, where issues of immigration identity and social justice are at the forefront of our national conversation. And Catalina offers this fresh perspective, this humanizing lens through which to view these complex issues.
So, dear listener, as we wrap up this deep dive, we'd love to hear your final thoughts. What has resonated with you? What questions has this sparked for you? What actions will you take, however small, to make a difference in your own corner of the world?
Remember, even the smallest act of kindness, of understanding, of speaking up for what's right, can create ripples of change.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Catalina. We hope it's inspired you to think deeply, to connect with others, and to embrace the power of storytelling to build a more just and compassionate world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those deep dives coming.
That's all for today's episode of The Deep Read. Thank you for joining us on this journey through stories and ideas. We hope it sparks some inspiration and curiosity. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment, share your thoughts, or let us know what books you'd like us to explore next. And if you know someone who would love The Deep Read, feel free to share it with them. Until next time, keep reading deeply, and we'll see you soon.